My name is Madeline. I'd like to share with you today something to think about when you're looking at opportunities that God will give you to be able to share the gospel. Sometimes we tend to hang in the birds of a feather group. We like to hang around with other Christians, and we're a little bit more nervous or maybe concerned about sharing our faith with those that we don't think that will really readily receive what it is we have to share. So we withhold our grace. It's the greatest thing that we could ever share with another person is the love that Christ has for them, the plan and purpose that he has for their life. And yet sometimes we hold back because perhaps we make judgments about them. We have a filter of our past that colors how we look at things today, how we look at other people, how we perceive their receptiveness to the gospel message. And it can be completely wrong. You see, it reminds me of doing one of these little puzzle things. There's two pictures, and there's 9 differences in one of the picture. And sometimes it's really subtle where those differences are. And when you're doing it, I've looked at it and looked at it, and it looks just so similar that it's hard. What I found was, if I turn it upside down when I'm really frustrated, that sometimes those differences are easier to find. Same kind of thing, really in our walk with God, because sometimes we're looking at it, and we only see what we see through the filter that we have had established growing up. And we're not really seeing those people the way that God sees them. It makes me think of Paul. When Paul, before he became a Christian, Paul was very zealous against persecuting Christians. It was his whole purpose. He took pleasure and delight in persecuting Christians. And he met Christ on the road to Damascus, and he turned around his life. And it took a long time for the Christians to actually receive him, to really get past the part of what he was like prior to his coming to Christ. And you see, God knows what he has planned for each person. So sometimes we might look at someone and think that they're so beyond receiving the message that it's not worthwhile sharing. But really, if God is bringing you into a situation and you sense the Holy Spirit drawing you to minister to that person, God knows the plans that he has for that person. You may not see that person completely come to Christ at that moment, but maybe it's a seed that God needs planted for a time such as this. Sometimes it's this, that we have to change our mindset about how we see situations and allow ourselves the opportunity to see that situation through God's eyes. It doesn't look the same. God's ways are not our ways. He says that we are to love our enemies and to pray for those that persecute us. So it's a completely different way of looking at things. When I consider sometimes the transformations that we've heard of around the world, those transformations came about when people sought after God and allowed God to minister through them to reach the lost. It was not only a few people that came. It was not a flash revival that ended and people just remembered that great time that God came down. The transformations that are around the world, there's some that are continuing to exist today and continue to see God's blessing on those areas where they transpired. But those transformations were for all the people, not just some of them. All the community came to Christ. And God blessed the land. So you see the transformation and the plans and purposes of God realized for each and every person. It's not that all the people that were in jail or abusing their families or drunkards or whatever like that left town. These people stayed, but they were transformed by the power of God. They were transformed by the prayers of the people, and the people allowing God to work through them to be able to see his will being done. That certainly changes the look and the way that we sometimes look at a situation. Sometimes we're too quick again to use our filter and decide, oh, that's just not even possible. Or God can't have a plan for that person, when in fact, God desires that all should come to him. So let's not be too picky and choosy about who it is that we'll share with. Let's trust God, and when God gives you the unction to be able to minister to somebody or to reach out to somebody, let us be Christ in those situations and allow God the glory for the outcome in that person's life. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.